Nod or shake reviews. Willie nod or Willie shake. Yeah!
Hi, Johnny here. Welcome to Nod or Shake Reviews, top 10 nods of 2023. If you're completely brand new to the channel, basically we nod or shake at a movie. Nod if it's good, shake if it's not so good, and we always recommend that you check it out. Now, the year is wrapping up, so we are going to rank the 10 best nods of 2023. So if it's a movie we saw, and it's a movie that I gave a nod, it might be on this list. However, if I didn't see it, it's definitely not going to be on this list. We have a playlist of all the 2023 movies that we reviewed, so if you want to take a look at that, see what movie might have a chance, because last year we had somebody go, well, what about RRR? A movie I didn't see at all. Make sure to just take a glance, see what we reviewed at least before you go firing all cylinders, saying my list sucks. I don't even like doing lists in the first place. First off, I'm going to give you some statistics. We reviewed in the year 2023, we reviewed 59 movies. And at least 19 of those movies got a nod, at least from me. I can't remember what Jim Bobby gave a nod for. I don't know if he's going to do his list. Probably not. Second thing that we're going to do is we're going to read off some comments, very nice comments that we had from last year's 2022 top 10 nod lists. That's an awful list. No wonder you don't like doing lists. Either that or you don't review good movies. The worst top 10 movie list in mankind's history. Take that to the bank. I highly recommend the ones have not seen. I didn't agree with ones put ahead of Everything Everywhere All at Once. I also feel you were a little heavy on the horror. My fave horror was Black Phone. I would recommend watching more movies. This part I love. That's your job. Nice comments that we've had in the past, and I can't wait for your comments for the future. So please, if you don't mind, if you haven't yet, please like, comment, subscribe on this list, and let me know your top 10 lists of 2023. Let's get to work on the top 10 nods of 2023. First off, I'd like to preface it with, I can't say I'm proud of this list. I can't say that I'm like, yes, this is the list of the top 10. No other list in the world can beat this. But there's just not a lot of movies that really made me crazy this year. Even some of the movies that are on this top 10 list. But of all the movies that we did the nod or shakes to, this is kind of what ended up on the list. So, great way to start this. Number 10, Scream 6. So, I enjoyed it. I love the Scream franchise. I think the only one that I did not like was Scream 4. Other than that, I did enjoy it. I think it fell apart in, like, the climax, I guess. Spoiler for a movie that came out in March. The reveal was very reminiscent of Scream 2, and it just kind of felt lazy. And the whole killer reveal is almost getting, like, silly. Just the way that they do it is just it's very corny at this point. So I hope when they make Scream 7 that they'll fix that up and make it less corny. It's number 10, Scream 6. Number 9, Evil Dead Rise. Big fan of this movie. I love the Evil Dead franchise. If you haven't noticed yet, this is probably going to lead towards somewhat horror, maybe not. Who knows, but yes, there's a lot of horror on this. So yeah, Evil Dead Rise, I enjoyed it again. The climax kind of fell apart. If you watch the review, one of the biggest things that I had a complaint about was in the earlier Evil Deads, it just kind of kept coming. In the newer ones, like the remake and Evil Dead Rise, it was just like, oh, if you kill the main monster, everything goes away with zero explanation. And I kind of felt like this happened again. You know, I was just kind of like, eh. Number 9, Evil Dead Rise. Number 8, John Wick, Chapter 4. The John Wick franchise is awesome. Perfect. All of them. If I were to review all of them this year, all of them would get nods. I don't know if they would go in the top 10, but as far as action movies go, they are awesome. Keanu Reeves is awesome. this movie was awesome. There's a scene, if I'm not mistaken, in this one, there's a scene where they have a whole thing with nunchucks. Something that I haven't seen in the last couple of years. So that was really awesome to see. And it was a very enjoyable movie. So if you know me, if you don't know me by now, if a movie is 2 hours long, I need it to be 2 hours long for a reason. It can't just be like, we're going to make this 2 hours long because we can. I think it was a little long, so that's what kind of was like, for me. But otherwise, awesome movie and an awesome conclusion to the John Wick franchise. If you're new to the game of John Wick, this is a spoiler. He dies, so probably won't be seeing any more of those. But if I had to give one note, other than it's too long, is maybe scale it down a bit. I like the first one because it was just kind of a revenge gig. And then the rest was like everyone and their mother's a hitman. And it's like, eh. Number 8, John Wick, Chapter 4. Number 7. Can't believe I'm saying this, but Megan or Mithrigan, depending on who you are. It was fun, dumb, and enjoyable. One of those movies you unplug your brain. It's not scary. It's child's play of this era. But it was such a dumb, fun concept that I was like, this is stupid, but I loved it. So that's how it ended up number 7 on the top 10 nods of 2023. Number 6, Dungeons & Dragons, Honor Among Thieves. This was the funniest movie that came out this year. I'll say it again, it was the funniest movie that came out this year. I don't know if it's gut-busting funny, maybe I just didn't see any other funny movies, but to me, this was the funniest movie this year, and I will defend that, so if you want to comment that it wasn't, go ahead. I laughed. I enjoyed myself. Chris Pine was great. All the actors and all the stuff just clicked. I said it in my review, and I'll say it again. Some movies that are based on a property, you could tell an executive was like, what if you did this? What if you did that? What if you did this? I, myself, did not feel that this happened in this movie. This felt like the directors knew, I think is John Francis Daley, who does a lot of fantasy stuff, and he's a big nerd. He was in Freaks and Geeks. He directed this, and I believe he wrote it, and you could tell there was a genuine love of Dungeons & Dragons in this movie, and it showed. The one thing that I made this complaint in the review, and I'm going to make it again, I think it came out in the wrong time. I think it would have been more of a success if it came out. It felt like a summer movie. I think it came out like in March, I don't know. Every movie came out in March this year. It was just a weird time to come out, and I think it would have been better if it came out in the summer months. Having said that, a lot of movies came out in the summer. We'll talk about that later. Number 5, Air. This was the first movie that I genuinely was like, this was great. This was awesome. This was fantastic. It was my first favorite movie at the time. I liked Dungeons & Dragons, and I liked all the other movies preceding it, but this was the one that was like, I confidently can put this on the list without breaking a sweat, and I loved it. The only thing that, with all biopics, is, and I don't know why this bothers me, but it is something that bothers me, but, you know, you watch these biopics, and you're like, wow, the dream. Look what you can do look at what these people do. This small group of people, look what they did. And then you go home on the internet and 5% of what happened in the movie is true. So it kind of puts a damper a little bit on the movie-going experience. But other than that, it was very enjoyable. All the characters worked. They didn't show Michael Jordan a lot, which was, I think, an interesting choice and the right choice. And that is why number 5, Air. Number 4, Godzilla, -1. So, this is mostly on me, and I'm going to say this. I'm going to own it, and I'm going to say this. I saw this when I was exhausted, which you should never see a movie when you're exhausted. But I wanted to see it, and I wanted to review it as soon as I could. So I went in there, and that's probably why it isn't higher than it should be. But amazing. Godzilla was Godzilla in top form. I don't want to talk about it too much because it did kind of come out just recently, so I don't want to spoil anything. But I will say this was probably one of the top movies I wanted to see again in theaters. Unfortunately, I never got to. And this movie needs to be seen in theaters. Obviously, you could see it when it comes home, and I highly recommend that. But definitely one of the top movies that should be seen on the big screen. Number 3. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. This movie was a lot of fun. I love the animation, and it's probably the best Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie since Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. Is that saying a lot? Not at all. A lot of fun. Definitely excited for the sequel. The only thing that, I said this in the review, the only critique that I really had was really, other than the weapons and the bandanas, all the turtles didn't have their distinct personality. It was more of a telling. You know, the rule is show, don't tell. No, these people told. Like, Raphael was like, I'm mean. It's like, well, be mean. They didn't do that. So, but other than that, highly enjoyable. Definitely looking for the sequel, which apparently, spoiler alert, Shredder is going to be involved, which should be exciting. So, number 3, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. Number 2, speaking of animated movies, SpiderMan, Across the Universe. Nope. SpiderMan, Across the Spider-Verse. This was one of the best animated movies I've seen in a while, and the best animated movie I've seen of the year. One of the best Spider-Man movies I've ever seen. Highly imaginative. Can barely hear the movie, but other than that, it was amazing. See what I did there? Highly recommend to see it. Highly recommend buying it on DVD. Again, one of those movies that you should see in theaters if you can get subtitles. Amazing movie. I think there's like debate on animated movies aren't real movies, which is the silliest thing I've ever heard in my life. But Spider-Man, Across the Spider-Verse. And there's also the first one that came out a couple years before this year, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Watch that too. Number 2, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And the number 1 top 10 nod of 2023. Well, first off, before I reveal that, don't forget to subscribe. Keep in touch with us. We got some stuff coming. In 2024, we are turning 5 in June. We've been here for 5 years, if you can believe that. And I'm going to try to push out more content depending on time and depending on how I feel. Sometimes I'm like, I want to do this video. And then I set it up and I'm like, I no longer want to do this video. So hopefully in 2024, I'll have the motivation to do more. But you should subscribe because you never know what you'll see or not see. So anyway, number 1. Top 10 nod of 2023 is a movie that needs to be seen in theaters. If they play it again during Oscar season, I highly recommend for you to go. It is a lengthy one. The first time I saw it, I didn't feel that length, but it is worth the 3 hours. If you haven't guessed the movie by now, number 1 is Oppenheimer. Everything worked. Cillian Murphy, Robert Downey Jr., Christopher Nolan, Hans Zimmerman. It was all there, and it was perfect. Well, I don't know if it was perfect, but number 1 on a top 10 list of nods of 2023. I only saw this movie once. I wish I saw it more, but I do have it coming to me soon from Jeff Bezos, and I cannot wait. And just a prediction. The last time I made a prediction, that really kind of pooped the bed. Jonathan Majors, I do think he is going to be at least nominated for an Oscar in the near future. I think Oppenheimer is going to take multiple awards. Score, Best Actor, Best Director, and possibly Best Movie. And Best Supporting Actor. Just going to throw that out there. So, number 1, Oppenheimer. If you haven't seen it yet, go see it. Alrighty, that is it. The top 10 nods of 2023. Again, am I proud of this list? Not at all. But you didn't ask, and I'm giving it to you anyway. the top 10 nods of 2023. Let me know your top 10 nods of 2023. And I hope to see you in 2024. See you next year. Alrighty. Thanks for cringing. Bye-bye.